Hey, Nick Webb here again. Okay, this video here is a bit of a departure from the talking about people side of things, because the last two ranting like I've gone on are Justin Bieber and will.i.am. Now I want to go on to something which I am happy about talking about. In this case, the Big Four thrash, as they're so called, the Big Four tour, if you want to call it. Obviously, that's Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, and Anthrax. Now, as those of you who are already aware of them will know, but for those who don't necessarily listen to metal quite as much, there were four bands that started around a similar sort of time in the Bay Area in San Francisco in the US in the very early 1980s. Now, bear in mind, metal itself had been going around for about 11, 12 years by that point, thanks to Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin, as much as I don't think they're actually a metal band, they were always classed as early metal, and bands like Steppenwolf. And and these guys were, and the inherent idea behind the thrash genre was to take metal as it was then and mix it with punk. So playing it quite a lot faster, kind of was dressed differently, obviously had different kind of more contemporary lyrical ideas and much angrier, much more direct styles of guitar tones and vocal tones and stuff like that. Now, the thing with thrash metal is that in the area it was in, it caught on pretty much immediately. Metallica and Slayer in particular caught on pretty much immediately. They were already one of the first, and the way I can tell you is one of the first proper gigs Metallica ever did. I believe this was in 1980, in the middle of 1981, just when they released their first demo, No Life Till Leather. They were already gigging with Saxon, and Saxon were one of the big, and Saxon were right at the start of the new wave of British heavy metal that was happening across the pond. And then obviously throughout the 80s, things changed. Obviously at first there was also a Testament to Nexus, who were kind of smaller bands who were also part of fashion, but nowhere near the same as the Big Four. And Megadeth weren't even formed because initially Dave Mustaine, their frontman and crazy Christian, was in Metallica. Then he got thrown out, I believe, just before the recording of the Metallica album Kill 'Em All, and then went on to form Megadeth around the same time. So that's the basic history of how the basic history of the where, the who, and the why of thrash metal. My question with thrash metal is this: should it only be called a Big Two, not a Big Four? Now, I know what you're thinking. I know he's gonna sound like a hipster and say Metallica aren't good. No, absolutely not. Metallica, probably my second favorite all-time band ever. I love them. I've loved them since I've loved them for maybe 10 years now. And Anthrax, I've seen them. Anthrax, a band unfortunately, I don't own any music of theirs per se. But I do listen to them whenever I can, and they're fantastic. They're great. That's it. They're a fantastically fun band, fantastically fun to watch live, just awesome. My problem with this idea of a Big Four comes from Megadeth and Slayer. That's not to say I dislike either of those two bands properly. I don't. Slayer, I think, Slayer were trying to be more. Slayer were arguably was really interesting, even I would argue, because they were trying to be. I believe they were trying to be more than thrash. they were trying to tap into this, trying to be the first band to tap into the idea of speed metal, simply playing songs as quickly and as violently as possible. And I believe they were pioneers. Just again, Slayer were pioneers in that genre, in my opinion. And also, Rain in Blood, spectacular album. If you can stand to listen to it all the way through. I know some people find Slayer a bit much. And South of Heaven, I think, is a fantastic little record, and the final track, the title track, which was also a single, is as good as as good as anything like Anthrax have ever written. It's a fantastic song. The problem with Slayer is that they never change. They haven't changed since 1981. It's 2014 now, and they're basically now the same band, albeit with changes in tempo and lineup changes and the sad death of Jeff Hanneman aside. They're basically the same band, writing the same music, which appeals to the same people. There's no sense of progression with them, and there is my problem. Look at Metallica. You can argue their progression has made them worse, from the stadium rock style, from the kind of the accepted norm of thrash metal from the first three albums, to the slightly more progressive element of And Justice for All, to the, quite frankly, stadium rock sound of the Black Album, to the sleazy blues rock of Load and Reload, to the new metal snare trash can sound of Senanga. It's an album I do like, but I appreciate why it's awful at the same time. And then Death Magnetic, kind of like trying to recapture what they had. There is a definite, very obvious progression with Metallica. And it's not just due to lineup changes either. With Slayer, they've gone through many different lineup changes. I believe they're on their third drummer. Now Dave Lombardo's been in, and Dave Lombardo, the original drummer, has been in and out of the band, and in and out of the band. But I feel like it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed at all. And as a result, for me, Slayer gets stale very quickly. Very quickly. And next, and so that's why I don't consider them on the same level to Metallica and Anthrax. Just how I see it. Now, Megadeth has a similar problem. Well, not a similar problem. They have done the whole, try and change their music vibe. I mean, if you look at the 1994 album, I believe, Euthanasia, that I think is drastically different to what they've done before and even since. Excuse me. And my problem is with Megadeth is as simple as I don't think Dave Mustaine is as good a songwriter as James Hetfield or Scott Ian. Quite frankly, that's all it boils down to with Megadeth. Even ignoring Dave Mustaine's crazy right-wing opinions, which is bizarre if you're in a metal band, but that's for another time. Or at least that's how I see it. But I'll talk about that another time. He's probably the best. He's probably worked with the best guitarists in thrash metal, because I believe there was Marty Friedman in the early days, and people like Chris Broderick more recently, who are better guitarists than the guitar players who worked for Anthrax. He's better than Jeff Hanneman and Kerry King, and better than Hammett and Hetfield from Metallica. I just don't believe he writes some good songs. Of course he does. I just don't think he's as good a songwriter. I just think Megadeth's overall song quality is so much weaker than Anthrax's, and especially Metallica's, that I think calling them a big four is stretching it, in my view. I mean, yes. You might find it odd that I would say the big two, if you like, are Metallica and Anthrax, because Anthrax are by far commercially the least successful. I just think I just think they're a better band than Slayer and Megadeth. Just how I see it. And yeah, but not much else. Not much else I think I can say about that. Right. See you soon. Cheers, guys. Bye.